This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Oil prices fell on Monday after China set a lower-than-expected target for economic growth this year at around 5%, and as investors cautiously awaited U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's testimony this week. Brent crude futures were trading down $1.07, or 1.3%, at $84.76 a barrel at 13:22 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude futures were also down 99 cents or 1.2% at $78.69. Crude remains in a tug-of-war between optimism over Chinese reopening and nervousness over a hawkish Fed hurting the U.S. economy, said Vandana Hari, founder of oil market analysis provider Vanda Insights.
Top crude exporter Saudi Arabia raised prices for the flagship Arab light crude it sells to Asia for a second month in April, to $2.50 a barrel above the Oman-Dubai average, Aramco said on Sunday night. The price hike 50 cents a barrel higher than the March official selling prices, was in line with a Reuters survey, as signs of an economic rebound in China raised expectation for a pickup in fuel demand from the world's top oil importer. China set a modest economic growth target of around 5% for this year at its annual National People's Congress. The world's second-largest economy posted one of its weakest performances in decades last year when gross domestic product grew by just 3%.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
China's state planner underlined a greater role for coal in its power supply on Sunday, saying the fossil fuel would be used to improve the reliability and security of its energy system. Soaring global energy prices following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and domestic supply disruption have prompted Beijing to step up its focus on energy security in recent years. The world's second biggest economy relied on coal to generate 56.2% of its electricity last year, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, but has significantly boosted its use of natural gas and renewable energy in recent years to lower carbon emissions.
India raised its windfall tax on crude oil marginally while cutting the tax on exports of diesel, according to a government notification on Saturday. The windfall tax on crude was raised to 4,400 rupees, $53.87, per ton from 4,350 rupees, effective immediately while the tax on diesel export was cut to 0.5 rupees per litre from 1.5 rupees a litre. The government said it scrapped a windfall tax of 1.5 rupees a litre on aviation turbine fuel. The government imposed the taxes on crude and export of petroleum products in July to raise additional revenue from a sudden rise in profits of oil companies as global crude prices surged on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, aiming to partly meet higher food and fertilizer subsidies.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
Global aluminium producers have offered Japanese buyers premiums of $125 to $145 per ton for April to June primary metal shipments, up 45% minus 71% from this quarter, 5 sources directly involved in quarterly pricing talks said. The offers, if agreed by buyers, would mark the first increase in 6 quarters and the highest level since the October to December quarter in 2022. Reflecting a view from producers that demand from automakers is set to pick up. Japan is Asia's biggest importer of the metal, and the premiums for primary metal shipments it agrees to pay each quarter over the London Metal Exchange, LME, cash price set the benchmark for the region.
Dalian and Singapore iron ore futures weakened on Monday after China's state planner said last week it had sought expert advice on policy measures to deal with the recent rapid rise in prices of the raw material. The most traded May iron ore futures contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange, DCE, ended daytime trading 2.13% lower at 897 yuan, $129.70 a ton. Meanwhile, on the Singapore Exchange, the benchmark April iron ore contract traded down 1.23% at $123.85 a ton as of 0726 GMT. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. The European Union's deforestation law is unlikely to have a meaningful impact on demand for Southeast Asian palm oil as the surplus is shrinking amid rising consumption from developing countries, a leading industry analyst said on Monday. The EU in December agreed a deforestation law that requires companies to produce a due diligence statement and provide verifiable information that commodities, including oil palm, were not grown on land deforested after 2020, or risk hefty fines. The regulation has been welcomed by environmentalists as an important step to protect forests, but palm oil producers have accused the EU of blocking market access for the edible oil.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.